Okay, go.
Camera 2. Camera 3. Hey, welcome. This is the Genesee County Compassion Club show. I'm your host, Jeremy. I'm in here at the allpointstvstudio.com. I tell you what, man, this place is improving every day. John, you're amazing. I'm looking at so many cameras right now. It's getting intimidating. Like they're going to start yelling at me or something.
That's what we're preparing you to become major media outlets.
Right.
Okay, all right.
I need the monitor reading screen.
Got that. We do. It's out there at that window.
Oh, right on. Yeah. Working on it. All right. Well, hey, I'm glad to be back here in the studios. It is 3/11. 3/11. You know what I'm talking about? 3/11 day. Happy 3/11 day, everybody. All you 3/11 fans out there kicking it out from Iowa or wherever it is they're from. Good stuff. Man, I'm glad to be back here. All Points TV kicking it on. We got our number going, 810-250-7365. If you want to call in and yak, ask questions, talk topics, let's do it. Get it in here. We got a live broadcast going on. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We're on you. So, but man, I'm glad to be here. We'll talk about medical marijuana and talk about what's been going on at the Genesee County Compassion Club and get you guys up to speed on the marijuana news happening here in Michigan. So without further ado, let's get it started. Like I said, today is 3/11/2020. It's about 40 degrees in the wonderful city of Flint. And man, spring's coming, right? We got spring forward just happened. I think I'm still adjusting to that. Like, I don't even know. My body's totally... Like, I'm going to bed later and I'm waking up earlier. That's not supposed to... How did that happen?
I wonder if it would be a good idea just to not go on Eastern, savings time.
It's a great idea.
I think so too. Yeah, Trump wants that. He wants to stop going back and forth. He thinks it's stupid, and I think so too.
I think it's foolish. Pick one and stick with it. And I don't really care which one it is. Pick one and stick with it. You know, the reasons for originally implementing daylight savings time are no longer relevant. Not even close. So, anyways, I don't want to talk about daylight savings time. We got St. Patrick's Day coming up. I hope you guys are getting ready. Got the green outfits on. And hope you don't turn green, right? Got the coronavirus going on. Everybody's all scared about that. So wash your hands, right? Don't touch your... I just touched my face. Oh, no. Yeah, don't touch your face, all that good stuff. But, yeah, I mean, it is scary. And you do need to be careful. So stock up on your immune systems. You know what I mean? Let's get healthy. Start exercising, eating some fruit and vegetables, doing proactive things like taking vitamin C and zinc so that you can build up your body's ability to fight that crap, right? So I don't want to start talking about silver and get, blackballed like Jimmy Baker or anything like that. But there are a lot of holistic things that you can do. I mean, seriously, I'm not going to go on and start telling you that they're going to heal coronavirus by any means, but I mean, you can certainly do things to help boost your immune system. Is that going to help you stay, or, make you immune from coronavirus? I don't know. I don't know about that. I'm not a doctor, but there's lots of things you can do. Take care of yourself. Get some sleep. Drink lots of water. The basics. Go back to the basics. It's flu season anyways. So, you got to be careful. It just had 2 cases of possibilities, is what they're saying. At MSU campus, it's not that far away. We've got a couple in Ann Arbor, I think, now. But anyways, yeah, the crap is spreading around, and you got to be careful. It's time to be careful.
Did you know that professors at colleges actually got higher pay because people from all over the world came to university campuses and they're exposed to more stuff, so that was considered like a high risk, and they wanted more money for that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They come up with just about any reason to get more money, don't they? And that kind of seems to be one of the motives here in the coronavirus is more money. If you're starting to listen to the handouts that are being created and the funds that are being developed and dipped into, there's a lot of money moving right now. So anyways, I don't want to get into conspiracy theories on this particular subject, but it's definitely concerning, and I would recommend that you take precaution. Wash your hands, try to not touch surfaces in the bathroom, that type of thing when you're out in public. While you're at the club, I know we do a lot of, sharing, if you will. Use a smoke stone. Get those old suckers back out. Get the hand sanitizer out. Roll your own. If somebody's not sharing right now, hey man, it ain't rude. It's just being preventative. You know what I'm saying? I saw the video with the guys doing the foot bump. No more handshaking, that kind of thing. Whatever you need to do to be preventative is a good idea right now. And for those of you that don't take this thing seriously, well, for those of us that do take it seriously, cut us some slack. You know what I mean? Be courteous, right? Be courteous. And it's not just a matter of covering your mouth when you cough. I mean, I'll take a few extra steps to not spread things around. It's that kind of time right now anyways, like I said, and I don't think there's reason to cause hysteria, but I do think that we could all be a little bit more sanitary. I know normally when you walk into the men's public restroom, it's like a ghost town. You hear the little Western tune in the background, like little tumbleweed blows by, you hear the door creaking. And now it looks like a damn operating room. You guys are in there like washing the elbows, you know what I mean? Scalpel. But yeah, it's good. Wash your damn hands, all right? That being said, let's move on here. We got the soup kitchen coming up here this month. That's something to be looking forward to. We're still doing that in spite of the coronavirus because people still need to eat. And you definitely need to eat to stay healthy. So let's help people do that. And until further notice, like if that kind of thing gets, I sure hope they wouldn't cancel a soup kitchen.
That'd be sad. That would be sad.
That would be cataclysmic. But as you continue to see these large different things get closed down, it makes me wonder like what would be protocol.
I've never been to the actual soup kitchen during the dinner times and meal times.
They take every precaution to make sure that all the serving methods are up to standard. And
they use gloves. The servers use
absolutely, gloves in the kitchen are a mandatory. Hairnet's mandatory. They may even be wearing face masks at this point. I mean, the soup kitchen is nothing to worry about. That's for sure. But if authorities step in and say, hey, these things can't operate during this time because you're going to have groups of people, sharing space, as they're doing in other places like sporting events and stuff like this. Again, I'm not trying to cause hysteria here, but I think these are questions that we should probably be asking so that we know what to do in advance, as a community to respond, try to help each other out. I know the big thing they're saying right now is stay at home. Well, that's great if you've got a nice warm home and a fridge full of food. But yeah, let's, for now, we're still doing it. We're still planning on serving. And I hope you guys would not be scared by anything like this. And I'm sure most of you would be the first to step up and try to help out. So
what's the average attendance? The numbers coming up.
Soup kitchen?
Yeah,
man. Usually like anywhere from 75 to 125.
That's quite a bit.
Yeah, it is.
And that's one side of town.
One spot. There's 4 kitchens in town. So
it's I know you guys do tremendous work. A few years ago, the Compassion Club won a award from the Catholic Social Services.
Yeah, from Catholic Charities.
Yeah, charities. So I mean, you guys put out there for a long time.
Yeah. So we're not going to let something like this stop us, are we? Right? All right. So let's talk about some other stuff. We got our 70s theme party coming up here. We're talking about the 420 party. It's still scheduled. All right. We're still on for this. And we're looking to party down, man. Hopefully it'll be nice weather by then. Hopefully this thing will break by then. But yeah, we got the 70s theme going on. So if you guys want to dress up or be a part of this more than you normally are, we encourage you to do so. We're going to have an incredible 70s cover band. I'm looking forward to this. This is going to be a great party, probably our best one yet, and you definitely want to mark this down. Again, that's a Monday, so if you haven't asked for the day off from the boss yet, you better do that soon. All right, 420, tell them you can't come in. You're going to be high as a kite. All right, speaking of events and postponals, I do want to bring up, I overheard a rumor, and I'm going to confirm it right now to the best of my ability for you, but I heard a rumor that the Monroe Street Fair had been postponed. So let me pull this up for you right now. I saw just a glimpse of this earlier today when I was doing some other checking, and so if this is the case, I want to share it with you. If it's not, I want to debunk it. Monroe Street Fair, Michigan. Let's see here. Okay, I'm on their website here. 19th Annual Monroe Street Fair, Peace, Love, Happiness, 2020, 19th, March 10th. In light of the news of surrounding COVID, we are making proactive moves to help protect everyone. This is from the Monroe Street Fair website, okay? It says we're optimistically rescheduling the fair until a time when we have a better understanding of the scale of what's going on. Says Charles Strackbein, or Bine, I'm not sure how you say his name, I apologize, the founder of the Monroe Street Fair. Of course, you guys know this as Hash Bash. So it appears that it is going to be postponed at this time due to the COVID virus and mounting health concerns. Of course, we know that this occurs on the campus of Ann Arbor, and in light of the recent news, that's probably a good idea. But it appears they do not have a date yet set for the future, and it appears that they're, at this point, they say stay healthy and tuned in. So you can do just like I did and go to monroestreetfair.com and keep yourself in tune. And the official Monroe Street Fair basically is, immediately follows the Hash Bash according to their website right here. But looks like it's going to be postponed. So if you're making plans for the first Saturday in April, you need to reschedule that or make different plans. The COVID thing is real, and people are definitely responding to it, or at least the response is real. So, sorry, John. All right, moving on to other news. Let's talk about some other things. Cough, cough. Just kidding.
Sorry, I had a call come in.
No problem. I thought you were talking to me. My bad. Okay. All right. Moving on here. Let's talk about the first thing on my mind is the phase out. You might have seen a post about this on the club page. If you haven't, let's talk about it now. This is the news. Michigan regulators have agreed to phase out medical marijuana caregivers supplying to licensed cannabis growers and processors. So, in a nutshell, most of you are fully aware, at least I hope you are by now, that under Governor Whitmer's ruling or under her direction, she temporarily allowed caregivers to continue supplying Michigan's licensed processors and growers of medical marijuana here in Michigan. So this was done in order to bolster the supply to the licensed dispensaries in their medical supply, and also which in turn helped bolster their recreational supply as dispensaries are able to transfer up to 50% of their product over into recreational inventory. That being said, the caregiver portion of the supply will be phased out, already starting with, I believe, what is concentrates have already been phased out, which will be followed by actual plants, and eventually by October 1st, phasing out flower and trim as well. So currently, flower and trim can still be sold to processing centers and licensed growers from caregivers, but that will be coming to an end on October 1st. Let me pull back here just a little bit. If you go to the Detroit Free Press, you can read the same article here, and it gets into a little bit more detail, but that is it in a nutshell. From June 1st to September 30th, growers and processors will be limited in the amount of flower they can get from caregivers, and by September 30th, no caregiver products, flowers, oils, or infused products will be allowed in the licensed marijuana marketplace. The caregiver-produced infused products, including vapes and edibles, already on the shelves of medical and recreational pot shops, can be sold until the product is gone. So, anyways, obviously, this is a move by the state. It's already been sort of planned out. They've been talking about this for a while. Andrew Brisboe, the MRA director of the state of Michigan, came out and made this announcement. And I thought it was telling that he used verbiage which stated that in the patient's interest is why they are doing this. And in order specifically, in quote, to ensure a uninterrupted supply. I highly doubt the sincerity in that statement, only because it seems completely oxymoronic to limit a supply line in the face of a limited supply. It makes no sense at all. So if we're really concerned with patients' ability to access medication, why on earth are we limiting their channels of supply? Why are we on earth limiting the volume of supply? These makes no sense. They're completely contrary to one another. It is absolutely ironic. So, very unfortunate step that the state's taking. I definitely think that this is one that's been expected. I was, for one, personally surprised to see that the governor ever did institute that policy, being that it was completely 100% against the law. We have had many caregivers who were incarcerated, fined, had their property repossessed, convicted of crimes. Dispensary owners, same way, convicted of the same crime. That the governor said, yeah, go ahead, no problem. Go ahead, do that. And they did so and have done so, and now we'll finally cut it off in September, at the end of September in this year. So, that's where it's at. There was a couple different websites out there I thought were kind of interesting in their spin on this. One is if you go to mjbizdaily.com, and I could not figure out who wrote this. But the perspective that it's been written from, I thought was pretty telling of where it came from. So let me read it to you. It says, Michigan regulators agreed to phase out medical marijuana caregivers, a move that could generate more business for the state's licensed cannabis growers and processors. So first of all, that's a false statement. Caregivers are not being phased out. They're just not being allowed to deal with the licensed facilities any longer. All right, so not being phased out. That's bullcrap. Could it generate more business for the state's licensed growers? Yeah, you think? Anyways, Authorized Caregivers goes on to state that the caregivers have been the biggest supplier of marijuana products to retailers, but starting October 1st, they'll be prohibited from being a supplier any longer. And then on forward, they list out the MRAs in quote, the Marijuana Regulatory Agency's goal is to stimulate business growth while protecting patient safety, said the bulletin, which is obviously a complete 100% lie. Maybe it's not. Maybe they really do want to stimulate business growth, just the licensed businesses, obviously, and protecting patient safety. Well, Caregiver's product has had to have been tested just as the licensed grower's product has been tested. So I don't see how there'd be any advantage to either one of these products if they're both being tested. And I don't see how one would possibly be safer than another. That makes no sense at all. If it passed the test, it's safe, right? Regardless of the source. It says here, the state has issued licenses for our almost 200 cannabis growers, 25 processors, according to the MRA. So again, that article was from MJ Biz Daily. I don't like how it's written, the language, the spin. To me, it's probably written by one of these conglomerate groups that supports these mega titans of marijuana, if you will. And, the state deciding to do this, like I said, it doesn't surprise me. I was surprised that they ever decided to do it in the first place. And I would say this is par for the course. What I would caution us, those of us who are still operating in the guidelines of 2008, the original law, those of us that call ourselves patients and caregivers, the caution I send out to you is not necessarily this bulletin, but the rhetoric and the mentality of where it's coming from. We need to be able to be ready to stand up and to defend our rights under the 2008 law. Our rights to be able to produce in-home, to be able to produce for patients, to be able to produce specifically 12 plants per patient, total of 5 patients and 72 plants. Those fundamentals of our program can never be changed. We can never lay down and let that go. The second we allow that to be diminished, to be lessened, for them to say, hey, you know what, you can only take care of 3 patients, or you can only have 48 plants. We can never let that happen, because the second that happens, the dog has its teeth in the bone and it's not going to let go. And these guys that run these magazines, that write this kind of BS rhetoric article, that are continuing to support lobbyist groups that want to try to take away your rights, they are out there, they're working hard, they're avidly trying to dominate the market to be able to capture their market share, their return on investment. Their livelihoods are now attached to this, just like yours are. So don't let them take yours, all right? We're not trying to take theirs. Don't let them take ours.
Here's a point I like to make too. They're so concerned, they say, about the users' safety, but look at all the recalls on foods like salads and meat in the past 3 years, and the FDA's always had oversight of that stuff, and they still let this go out to the public. So where's this impetus or micromanaging those kind of industries? They seem to have gone by the wayside. They want to go after the weed smokers.
Yeah.
And the weed growers?
I think you're making a good point, John, that we have a problem here in our society where somehow we got to the state of believing that regulation will somehow always protect us. And that's foolish thinking. It's a false narrative, if you will, whatever. I mean, it's stupid, all right? The only thing that's going to protect you is you. You can walk around in a bubble, but you're not going to get much done, are you? All right, yeah, it's crazy. So I got another stuff I want to share with you here too, dealing with Michigan, and let's move on here. So we've got the first 3 months of legalization here in Michigan. Got some numbers for you. Says here, first 3 months total sales are $31,971,862. Last week, February is the largest week so far, with $4.3 million in sales from February 24th through March 1st. Sounds like a lot, but when it's broken down, it resulted in a little over $5 million in taxes to the state. Well, I think that's still a lot, even though the paper might not. It says the numbers are not linear or constantly going straight up every week. Instead, they're sort of a curve, even though more people are getting licenses to sell marijuana. It says there are a few potential reasons for the state's revenue going slower than other states. One is a lack of supply, says Robin Schneider, blah, 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 blah. And well, that's all she says. She goes on to elaborate about the lack of supply, but we won't get into that. So, and whether or not that statement's true, let's just say that it is. Why is the state already clamping down on its supply lines? Maybe the current supplies, which would be caregiver and licensed growing facility, maybe they're not on equal ground. Maybe the prices aren't the same. You ever thought about that? Because that's a fact. The margins are not the same. The caregivers are not getting paid the same that the licensed growers are getting paid, and the caregiver's product is superior, and 9 times out of 10. And they're not getting paid the same amount. And that's why these licensed growers need the caregivers to get out of the game. They need them to get out of the way, because the dispensaries, the ones that aren't solely owned by the growers, they don't want the other product. They would absolutely rather have the caregiver's product. It's a superior quality, and it costs them less and makes them more money. It's a no-brainer. Hands down no-brainer. So you can bet that the licensed growers, they need these caregivers out of the way. It's competition they can't hang with. At least not right now. All right, so moving on here. There's the market. That's where it is. $5 million in taxes. Let's see how that compares to some of these other states here. I want to pull this up here, because I think Illinois is kicking our butt. Let's see here. All right, yeah, Illinois dispensaries sold nearly $40 million in the first 31 days of recreational cannabis sales. Yeah. It came from the sale of 972,000 cannabis products at licensed retailers across the state. The state also said the lion's share of those sales went to Illinois residents, who purchased over $30 million worth of pot. while those visiting tourist destinations like Chicago jumping state lines to escape dated marijuana laws spent almost $9 million. So they know what their out-of-state sales are. So where does the $40 million rank? Las Vegas, Nevada reported that Nevada officials announced the state had sold $27 million worth of cannabis products in September of 2017. Also in Nevada, the first 4 months of legal sales, July through October 2017, was $127 million. So if Illinois was to keep pace with their 4 months, if they kept pace with their first month, they'd be at $160 million. And what did I just say Michigan was at? 18 million or something like that for the first 3 months? Do you guys even smoke weed? Like, what? Yeah. Yep. 18 million. Wow. Oh, 31 million. Okay, so we're really not that far off. I apologize. 31 million. Illinois got 40. So we're not that far off. You guys smoke weed. I take it back. All right. Yeah, so we got the licensed sales going out there. What else do I want to cover today? There's a couple other stories I had here for you. I'll pull these up here. Man.
Jeremy,
Yeah.
we do have a viewer, and they're asking when would Michigan legalize marijuana?
When did we legalize it?
Yeah.
It was last November.
Okay.
Well, actually, I take that back. It wasn't last November. It was a year ago prior to that.
Okay.
So we've had it almost now for over a year.
Okay.
Actually. It took us a while to get it implemented. So the state took its time in developing rules, and they finally, then they developed temporary rules. We're still waiting for final rules at this point. So, we were definitely slow to roll out. I think that's what some of these articles are sort of getting at, is that we were a slow rollout state, and that we still are slow. We're approving more and more businesses all the time. And in fact, I think that actually leads me into our next story here. Thank you, viewer. The marijuana ballots that we had yesterday. There was a couple different marijuana ballots. I'm pull these up here for you. Where did they go? Where does my phone put stuff at? I swear. A couple of them passed, a couple didn't. But the story, before I get into the details on that, this is the story really of why we're having a slow rollout, is because each city has the ability to decide whether or not they want to have marijuana businesses. So even though the citizens said, yes, we want to be able to possess it, we want to be able to grow it, we want to be able to buy it, cities have to be able to prove if the businesses can exist in their town. And the majority of the cities, in Michigan have said no. The vast majority have said no. So last night we had a couple more proposals go through. One was for medical, a couple of them were for recreational, and as I stated, some went through, some didn't. So let me get into these if I can and share with you where they were at, what they were. Oh, good grief, actually took me to the ballot language. That's not what I want. Here we go. Okay, Clinton Township and E-Course both had proposals. I believe Clinton Townships was turned down by voters to have marijuana businesses, and E-Course proposal to have marijuana businesses passed. Let's see here if I can find, because there was a few other towns that also had ballot proposals. Here we go. Sorry about that. Total of 9 communities had proposals on the ballot. 3 communities gave the thumbs up. The other 6 obviously did not. E-Course, that's the one I mentioned, they passed theirs. Big Rapids and Holton Township in Muskegon rejected proposals. Clinton Township, Central Lake Township in Antrim County, and Sidney Township in Montcalm County all rejected their proposals. Chippewa Township in Mecosta and Crystal Lake Township in Benzie County passed proposals banning marijuana businesses. So it's basically a no as well. Here, from this article here, it says 1,425 communities have decided that they don't want marijuana. In other words, they've passed ordinances or moratoriums, at least, stating that right now there are no marijuana businesses going to be allowed in their city or township. 42 have passed ordinances that will allow businesses. And it goes on to state that other cities, many including Detroit, have decided against allowing these businesses until they can develop ordinances. So they're not saying no, they're just saying no, not right now. But yeah, obviously out of 1,425 communities said no, and 42 have said yes. So that right there is the real answer on why there's been such a slow rollout to Michigan's consumer, to the medical, or not medical, but to the recreational marijuana program here in Michigan. And it also explains why there's such a fierce competition level going on amongst the licensees and the battle that you see going on between caregivers and the regulated market. There's a limited amount of access points, if you will, or access to the market. The channels are very tight, and in some cases, it's the business holders themselves making it difficult for the industry to expand because they're simply trying to, control their market share. But yeah, this is the story of Michigan. It's still an uphill battle. As you can see, you have 9 proposals being put through right after, just shortly after, a year after we've passed recreational marijuana. 9 proposals to actually have the businesses exist, and 6 of them get turned down. So there's certainly a level of education that still needs to occur, obviously. I mean, we can't have cannabis regularly available if we don't have a place to get it at, or if we don't have a place to grow it at, or don't have a place to process it at. And it seems to be really confusing how our communities continue to struggle for revenue, specifically, and yet thumbs down entrepreneurial type businesses that could be created from these. And a lot of these businesses, a lot of these communities, they're really not thinking outside of the box. They're thinking one thing, the dispensary. Well, I don't want that in my town, is what they're thinking. And there's a whole myriad of services and businesses that can be a part of this industry that don't involve that. And when we really take a look at the access point for the patient, or the customer, if you will, in this case, they're not dealing with patients, they're dealing with regular adults over 21 years of age. But let's think about that access point. How dangerous is that really? How much of a mar on your little town is that really going to be? And what are you missing out because you're choosing not to have it? These communities, it's almost like they've got their head stuck in the sand and they don't want to look at the other possibilities out there. And that's unfortunate. And I think that yesterday, in our primary election, I know a lot of folks are upset with the results. And maybe you're feeling the burn now. You know what I mean? But if you look at the voter turnout that happened yesterday in the primary, it's no wonder why we continue to have leadership in this country that doesn't give a crap about what you think or about what you want. They don't have to. They can continue doing what they want to do because we don't hold them accountable. We're too busy, too lazy, too preoccupied to actually get out there and take part. And it shows in the numbers. It shows in the actions. It shows in their attitudes. The fact that they don't have to be held accountable and they know damn well it's not going to happen. And they can do what they want. And if you feel like that, if you feel like that's going on in your community, I can only encourage you to encourage the people around you to get involved and to take part. Get registered to vote and go vote. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. Yesterday I voted, took me 2 minutes. There was 2 questions on the ballot. That's it, 2. And I'm not even a Democrat, but I felt like I should go out and support something. So I did. But, most people didn't, obviously. and we all have to live with the result. We all got to live with it, whether you like it or not. So live with the results. And in this here, when it comes to marijuana ordinances, you can really have an impact. I mean, look at these voting numbers. These ordinances failed in Clinton Township. It failed by a margin of 1,400 votes. 1,400 people made the decision, essentially. 15,163 to 13,648. Let's look at the one here in E-Course, which obviously is smaller. 818 votes to 659. I mean, it's not a lot of people to begin with, obviously, and I'm sure there's more than 1,500 people in the community of E-Course. No expert. I don't know anything about E-Course. I'm just putting it out there.
I'm going to put this past you. Maybe it's unfair, so if you don't want to field the question, but it's been proposed that elections, the day of the election, especially national elections, it's a day off, and people a day off from work so they can vote. How do you think about that?
Honestly, my personal opinion is, John, I'm much more of a libertarian mentality than I lead on and so on. So government involvement in making any decisions, to me, is a bad idea, all right? But with that being said, I think we need to have a hell of a lot more emphasis on getting out and voting. Like, it needs to be, I don't know how to emphasize that in a positive, proper manner other than making it mandatory or, like John's saying, give somebody the day off. And I don't think that any of those things are really necessary, but I think we need to put more of an emphasis on taking an active approach in our government. I mean, we are a democracy. We are privileged to have this ability to take part in our government, and the fact that we just take a complete advantage of it. We take not just advantage of it. We're apathetic to the government, and yet we turn around and expect them to save us. It's just this weird relationship that we have, and yeah, I think that we need to put a hell of a lot more emphasis on being involved and paying attention, because if we were really paying attention and we were really being involved, I think we could actually do something. I think we could actually make some positive changes. I don't know if any of the ones that have been proposed are the way to go. I just know that for the most part, we can all agree on the problems. I think where we start to go astray is, how do we solve these things? Or maybe, why was the problem caused? We start arguing about that kind of a thing. But for the most part, we all agree on the same problems. And if we all got a little bit more involved, maybe we could actually solve some of them. You know what I mean? But no, I don't think people need to have the day off to go vote. I think employers should be a hell of a lot more flexible in allowing their employees to go vote if that's what they need to do. And a lot of folks that travel or commute for work, voting is a serious, cumbersome event. If you got to be to work at the butt crack of dawn, the polls aren't open yet, and you don't get back home till, the same type of scenario, that can be a pain in the ass to have to get to the vote. I mean, I swear, John, if we had voting available on Facebook, holy crap, we would have voter participation. You know what I mean?
It's been proposed, too, that maybe you could call in.
I'm not saying that's the way to go.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you look at the amount of people that are on Facebook every day talking about this and that. I mean, if we could get those same amount of people voting, man, can you imagine what would happen?
But I was working for 25 years, and I had jobs that worked through the day, almost the very, real late evening.
Yeah.
And I only missed one election, because of work. So, I mean, people say I have to work a lot of times. I don't buy that as being always the case. It could be. I mean, I don't know everybody's jobs and their schedule, but I would used to work from 7 in the morning to 10 o'clock at night. and I still voted.
I'm with you, John. I worked for a decade. I worked a job where I had to leave the house at 6:30 a.m. and I got home between 7:30 and 8 o'clock at night. That was 6 days a week, pretty much. And so, yeah, I get that. The polls don't cooperate with that. But I still made time to vote, and I never had a problem saying to my boss, hey, I'm going to be a little late, or I got to leave a little early. I'm going to go vote. I mean, what kind of boss is going to tell you, no, man, you get back to work?
Actually, I worked at U of M, and if you had a vote, and if you made that case or something like that, most of the bosses I had at U of M were okay with that.
Absolutely.
They wanted you to come back. That was really cool, though. I mean, most because they wanted you to be involved in that.
Absolutely. That's what your boss should be doing. If your boss says, no, go back to work, go get a new job. All right? You're working for the wrong dude. That guy's an asshole. For real. You know what I mean?
The exception is a nurse, because nurses are going to be there for 12-hour shifts on top.
Hey, I get it. There's exceptions to every rule. I'm not
ballot.
trying to, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Absentee ballot. I mean, that's
there's
still
other
exists.
ways to do this.
Yeah.
And I think you're bringing up a good point too, John. It shouldn't have to just be on one day. There's other countries where you get, up to a week to make it into the ballot. You can send in there's a million different ways to get this thing done that are superior to what we're doing now, that make it available for more people to participate in a legitimate manner, and one that we can rely on the result of. We can do this. I mean, come on. You know what I mean? This is 2020. All right? Can we count votes? It shouldn't be that difficult. But yes, we should also give people the ability to do it. And yeah, it definitely needs improvement. There's no doubt about it. So, yeah. All right, I think that's about it, what I have for you this week. And definitely, guys, keep your chins up. I mean, I know we got a lot of Bernie supporters in the club. And we got a lot of people that don't give a shit too, and that's perfectly fine. But as we deal with the virus and we deal with all this, that, and the other, what is it? We got like a full moon, Friday the 13th. I mean, we got zombie apocalypse going on.
That's why I got my garlic, my lucky rabbit's foot, and my horseshoe. I got all with me, so I'm covered.
There you go, man. I'm going to go pick up myself a clove of garlic and maybe a silver bullet, maybe like some elderberry syrup and, silver nickel.
That's one of the silver I can have heard.
Yeah, silver. Well, that's what Baker got in trouble for.
Oh, is it telling him?
Yeah, don't be talking about silver right now, John.
Well, the Hunt brothers got screwed over it too because
you'll be quarantined. They will quarantine your shit. But no, take preventative caution, folks. Nobody needs to be getting sick, and definitely, do the best, very, very, very best you can, right? But thanks for being with me this week. Thanks for being at the club. Definitely appreciate it. Guys, order some food, man. The kitchen's been kicking ass this week. The food is just outstanding. If you haven't retried the food or haven't tried it in the first place, this is the time to do it, man. The stuff is delicious, for real. And, man, and it's never been a time to get down to the club. So St. Patrick's Day, you ain't doing nothing, come on down to the club, all right? It's nice and safe and warm, and you have good times. You have good times there. So thanks for joining me on the podcast. Keep it real. Be back here next week. Guys, take care. Love you, man. See you.